Andrew, restaurants, bars, and clubs across the Grand Strand are getting ready to ring in the new year with a special event and parties. But Dr. Paul Richardson says both people attending and establishments hosting need to be cautious. Dr. Richardson says they've already diagnosed 100 new positive COVID cases in the last 4 days. But he says being vaccinated and, according to official data, having your booster shot aids in fighting against all strains of COVID, including the Omicron variant. However, he says it's important to remember while they're effective, it doesn't make you immune.
We have to keep in mind what effective means. And, the vaccines do look like they help to prevent folks who are requiring hospitalization, ICU stay, ventilators, and death. Those are the goalposts. Not getting COVID is not the goalpost. Those are the goalposts.
Dr. Richardson says as of today, 11 patients are hospitalized at Conway Medical Center for COVID. Dr. Richardson says while it'll be a struggle for people to stay 6 feet apart, he recommends being in an outdoor location, washing your hands more often, and wearing a mask.
Andrew, this sign is one of the many things organizers have set up to honor John Rhodes. Despite this being the first year without him, I'm being told his fingerprints are all over this tournament and will never be washed away.
There's actually 3 or 4 things John loved, but his grandkids, his kids, his wife, the Beach Ball Classic, and the city of Myrtle Beach.
Gone, but not forgotten. Leaders with the 41st Annual Beach Ball Classic are without former Myrtle Beach Mayor and Executive Director John Rhodes. Rhodes died of COVID-19 back in January. As teams traveled across the country to compete, committee members looked back on the cachet he brought to one of the top basketball tournaments in the country.
He was able to, pick the phone up and call somebody and say, hey, this is John Rhodes, and they knew who it was.
Hall of Famers like Kobe Bryant, Rasheed Wallace, and Grant Hill all played in this tournament, and leaders say it's because of Rhodes. Now they watch in hopes of seeing the next great basketball star.
So it's a great thing to be a part of, and I'm glad we're in it.
With his signature all over the court, a banner people can sign, and his special seat roped off, people can see the impact Rhodes had on this tournament. And even though he's gone, organizers are thanking him for the assist.
Well, I don't think it would have lasted 40 years if it hadn't been for John Rhodes. The committee does a lot, but he was always the man in the office 365. So,
No, he lives on, and I know he is looking down happy.
Now, there will be a ceremony honoring Rhodes and his family at the 7 o'clock game. We'll take you to that special moment coming up on ABC 15 News at 7. Andrew, in April 2020, Hampton County, South Carolina was devastated by tornadoes. And after hearing the situation happening in Kentucky, the owner of Company 2 Fire decided to help a small fire department in Case, Kentucky get back on their feet. Company 2 Fire out of Varnville, South Carolina donated a pumper truck to Case Volunteer Fire Department. Along with the truck, local departments across our state also donated necessary fire equipment. The department lost their firehouse and the storm damaged all 3 of their fire engines. The company's owner says knowing they played a role in keeping people safe during this difficult time means the world.
You don't know how much it helps to see that those guys are going back to work, and our employees love it.
The Case Volunteer Fire Department received the truck 8 days after the tornadoes passed through. Coming up on ABC 15 News at 6, we'll hear from the man who towed that fire truck to Kentucky and the fire chief of the Case Volunteer Fire Department.
Trey, he said a whole lot during our 30-minute phone conversation. He says he knew one day Larry Demery would be released from prison. Were you surprised that he was granted parole?
I wasn't surprised.
Former Robeson County District Attorney Johnson Britt says back in 1993, then 18-year-old Larry Demery helped investigators tremendously as they investigated the death of Michael Jordan's father, James Jordan. Demery and Daniel Green both got life in prison for the murder. A North Carolina board granted Demery parole this week, and he's set to be released in 3 years. Britt says Demery was a model inmate.
If you look at Larry Demery's public record, he has very few infractions.
Demery says the investigation revealed Demery wasn't the one who pulled the trigger.
But all the evidence in the case pointed to Daniel Green as being the major participant in that. The gun that we believed killed Mr. Jordan was found in Daniel Green's home.
They dumped his body in a Marlboro County swamp 11 days after he was killed.
I think it's called the Gun Swamp. And they dumped the body over the edge of the bridge.
Bertha Garcia tells me she went to the scene the day Jordan's body was found.
Whenever I got to the scene, I started getting cold chills all over my body. And, whenever I get that, it's a scary sight. It was a scary sight.
Many people don't think Demery should be released. Britt says at 45 years old, he'll have a tough transition when he walks out of prison after 27 years.
How does he adjust to the new freedoms that he will be given?
Britt says it's expected that Demery will live here in Robeson County with his family when he is released.